sex put it on her mind. I know that sounds so out there, so direct, so forward, but here's why we're there. I counsel so many people and talk to so many people about issues, and in marriage, the first issue is sex. Let's be clear about the fact that I hear about it all the time, and I give advice about it all the time. So we're going to talk about some case studies today, people that I've talked to whose examples are so global that it might sound just like it was you. So let's talk about it. The first thing that I hear, and in my understanding, is that there is no sex happening in some marriages. And I say no sex, not regular sex, not exciting sex, not sex that you looked forward to when you were a teenager or in your 20s, or even in your early 30s. Things have happened. Kids have happened. Jobs have happened. Timing has changed. Distance is added to the issue of travel from work to home. You've got all kinds of things happening, and sex is just not on the agenda. It's not a priority. It's not something that is even thought about on a regular enough basis to be considered a regular sex life. So let's establish some things. First of all, we're talking about sex, and we're going to talk about it from the married couple perspective. Obviously, I'm not advocating sex between people who are not married. So obviously we're not going to talk about it from that perspective. So you'll hear me refer to husband and wife. The choices you make are your own. But for the purpose of today in our show and what I do, it's about married couples. So proceeding, thank you for joining us today, and we're going to just be so excited about what you're going to be doing. So here we are. You've got to remember that sex is a part of marriage. Okay? Sex is a part of marriage. It was designed for marriage. So now that we've gotten that part together, let's go forward with what we know. Let's go forward with what we know. We want to have sex in our marriages, so that's what the point of it is. So what happens when your spouse is tired or sleepy or has a headache or just doesn't feel like it or falls asleep before you can get back to the bedroom? What happens when you say sex and they say, ew? What happens when those things happen? Well, let's talk about it. Understand that the first thing you've got to do is realize that your relationship, you manage that. You manage what her perception is about sex and how you feel about her related to sex. So let's talk about some of the things that stop women from wanting to have sex. The first thing that you need to realize is my first case study. They've been married 10 years. In this marriage, they have 3 children, all of whom are under the age of 8, and 3 boys. She teaches elementary education, and he does some engineering-type work, highly technical, etc. Well, that's great. She sleeps at 9 o'clock. Her day looks something like wake up at 5:30, get the kids ready for school, get them to school. She goes to work herself. She gets them about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. She comes home and she does homework, bathe, cook, and clean. And she has about 30 minutes for herself from 8:30 to 9 o'clock. And at 9:05 promptly, she's asleep. Well, 9 o'clock, he wants to have sex. She doesn't. She's asleep. She's tired. She's exhausted. So my question for him was, so when you get home, what do you do? And he said, what do you mean? I said, do you cook? No. Do you clean? No. Do you put the dishes and clear the table after dinner? No. Do you bathe any of the children? No. Do you do any homework? No. So basically, you get home at 7, you eat, and you're with the remote from 7 to 9. And he says, well, it doesn't sound as good when you say it like that. I said, well, is it true or not? He said, yes. I said, well, golly, let me help you understand what you just did. You had time to unwind from work. You've had time to relax and shut the world out and shut it down. But she's still working from 7 to 9. She's still working from 7 to 9. Well, I said, I understand. But if you have the remote in your hand from the time you get home to the time you get into bed, and you haven't done any of those things I said, you haven't helped her. A relationship is a partnership. You've got to help her. So here's what I told him to do. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we go there, let's talk about my second case study today. The second case study drives a truck all day. And he probably gets home at about 8:30. They have 4 kids. They range in age from 2 to 12. She works from home, or she's not working at home, but she's still working because she is at home. And so he says, when I get home, I am tired, but I still want to have sex, but I have to hear her banter for 20 minutes. And I said, really? He said, yes. And I said, well, what is she saying? She needs more of this, she wants this, and blah, blah, blah. I said, but it's really technical things about the house and the kids. Right. But when was the last time you had a chance to talk about your relationship, talk about how you feel about each other, love on each other? Not so much. He initially started that dialogue with, oh, Nita, I don't think she likes me anymore. I said, well, how old is the youngest? And he said 2. I said, and what do you mean she doesn't like you anymore? She shared her body with another baby for you. She has to like you. It's just not something we turn on and off like that. She likes you. So, long story short, there was a way that, he was trying to figure out, how do I become more intimate with my wife when we don't spend a lot of time together, and when I talk to her, all she says is these things right here. And I shared with him, number one, she's giving you the top stories. The top stories on the news today are blah, blah, blah. She gave you the top thing. Because she only had a window of time that she had to get into. She got in that window, and she had to come out. She only had a certain time. So in her mind, in 24 hours, things had transpired that she did not share with you because she only had 20 minutes to share them. So what that says is that you've got to use your time wisely. So that's case study number 2. And obviously they're not having much sex either. So case study number 3. A couple. One is living out of town, working. And the man is here in town. And so obviously they're long distance, they're not having sex. So what do you do about that? How do you make that happen? How do you manage that? So long and short of it is that there are situations where you're not having sex, not doing the things you used to do, you're not being intimate. So let's attack that. Let's deal with that today. The issues on the table are, how do I have more sex with my wife? How do I encourage her to want to have sex with me? And how, in some fashion, how do I renew that intimacy? So let's get started. The first thing is that you quit doing what you used to do. Would you agree? When you first started dating her, you couldn't wait to talk to her on the phone. You couldn't wait to get her online, on the telephone, on email, on text messaging, depending on how long you've been together. You couldn't wait to get to her. Now, it's a very lackadaisical type thing. You get to her when you get to her. She's not necessarily a priority. It's not that a whole bunch of stuff is in front of her, but she's not first. She's not a priority. So, how do you get back to that point? You got to do what you were doing at first. Do what you were doing in the beginning. I love teenagers, and I tell people all the time that you're angry that they're having sex because they're having more fun than you. Is that politically correct? Absolutely not. Because teenagers shouldn't be having sex. But they're having more fun than you because they are text messaging. They're sexting. We talked about this before. And here's what that means. When you leave home in the morning, whoever leaves home first, there should be some type of message that says, you really look great in your outfit today. You're not going to be it. I wish I could watch you all day in what you have on. You compliment her first. You make her smile. You make her tingle inside. You remind her that she is a woman. And not only is she a woman, she is your woman. The second thing is you text her or email her with, baby, what's on your mind? Well, I know what's on her mind, Onedia. She's always telling me no, she's not. She's giving you the highlight reel. For every one thing she's telling you, there's 10 things attached or that are not even mentioned or related. So she told you the top 3 things. I need more money for the light bill because it went up. I need more. I need you to fix my car because it's making this noise. Or I need you to keep the kids on Friday because I've got a social event to go to from 6 to 8. There's 10 things attached to each of those things, or there's 10 unrelated things that could be affiliated and requested from her. You need to give her an audience, a medium by which she can tell you everything without judgment, without issue, without question. Things like what, Onedia? What are you talking about? Well, let me say this. If you are working from can to cannot, or from can to can't see to can't see again, you're working that many hours in a day. When was the last time you and her went on a date and got a babysitter and went out like to a real movie and to a real dinner where there are linen napkins and silverware and somebody comes and fills up your water without you saying, excuse me, I need more water? You can't think of that time. That's where we need to start. You need to give her a medium. And by that medium, I mean you need to tell her, hey, what's going on in your mind? What's the thought process here? What's going on with this? Where are we? What do you need for me to know? And more importantly, what do you need for me to do? And you ask that question. And you ask that question honestly and openly. You ask that question very sincerely. And then you need to take action on what it is she's asking you for. And there's a difference between what she wants you to know and what she wants you to do. So you need to ask that question. And here's where I'm going with this. When you get those types of things off her mind and onto the plate to be dealt with by the two of you, and she doesn't feel totally responsible for it by herself, you can free her mind up to hear you when you say, baby, I want to make love to you. And she'll feel like you want to because you're interested in what's going on with her. I suggested to the gentleman who drives the trucks, why don't you email her at about noon and ask her what's on your mind. Just let her blast the email full so by the time you get home, and then you can process what she said. You can respond to her. And then when she gets home, you can ask her, how are you doing? And you can touch her on her hair and hold her close. And then maybe she'll think about making love to you. I also explained to that particular gentleman that she is loving you. She made love to you when she took care of your kids and when she made sure that you had clean sheets on the bed and your clothes were all clean and you're not looking for things running around the house. There's a place for everything. She made love to you and she cooks for you and she had everything ready for you and that you had all your stuff together for your lunch that day and snacks throughout the day. She made love to you and she told you what those 3 things were that she needed, and she is trying to not overwhelm you with what is really going on, and she just tries to make sure that she's the manager of what you left her in charge of. She did. She made love to you all day. You just didn't know it. It's something to be said for the fact that she's doing those things that she's doing because she's given up a career to take care of your house. She's given up an outside job to be home for your kids. She made love to you today, all day long. You just wasn't there. You weren't present in the moment. She should have thought of it. So she didn't make physical love to you with you present, but she made emotional and mental and spiritual love to you all day long. So I said to the other gentleman that when you get home, you need to put that remote down, keep the TV off. and you need to bathe some children or put somebody to bed or do some homework, or you need to pick what you want to be able to do, but you need to work side by side with her so she can be done at 7 rather than at 9. You need to watch the kids for her from 7 to 8 so she can go bathe and be pretty and smell good, or from 8 to 9 so she can do her thing by herself and unwind, and maybe she can get the remote. She doesn't even remember what she likes on television because she doesn't get to watch it. So if you take care of her in that fashion, then she can help take care of you. And when was the last time you complimented her? Send her a text message and say, you sure do look pretty. And while I can't see you, I know that I'm telling the truth. You sure you do look pretty. Because you need to be the first person who compliments her all day. You need to be the person who compliments her all day the most. No one should out-compliment her. You should be out-complimenting. You should be complimenting her all the time. Why? Because she's your wife. She's who you love, like, and live with. So what I need you to do is several times throughout the day you need to text message her. Send her an email. Send her a love letter. Stop at Walgreens and put a card in the mail to her. She needs to open something other than those bills you guys made together. And it may be all her fault, who cares? But you want her to have sex with you. But once you put a card in the mail that says, hey, I like you, I love you, be feeling like you were 12 or 16 or 21 when you gather to giggle and laugh out loud. And not on a text message, LOL. We're talking about real authentic laughter that you haven't heard in many a month. You've got to be creative about getting her attention. Ask her the questions. What did you most like? What do you most like when we make love? What do you most want when we're intimate? See, a woman is emotional. You appeal to her emotional side, she'll give you everything you want twice. You got to appeal to her emotional side. You got to appeal to the point where it's okay for her to think it's okay for me to be who I am. You got to appeal to that side. She's got to know that you consider her and care for her. And you're thinking, I do. I went to work. Yes, you did. You did go to work. You did come home. You did bring home all the money. I get all that. But you got to appeal to her heart, her emotions, her soul, her spirit. You got to get in there and say, hey, I like it when you do this. I was watching you sleep when I got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and you looked sexy laying in that bed asleep. I was loving it. Girl, talk to her. That's at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I meant to tell you that you were pretty. I just forgot earlier today. I meant to remind you how glad I am that you're married to me. It means a lot to me. I can't wait till our kids out the house. We're going to change our whole lifestyle. I can't wait. Those are things that matter to her. Those are things that cross her mind. And when you're talking to her about it and you're telling her how special she is to you, she's going to remember that. And she might just want to give you some. She doesn't consider how important sex may be to you on a daily basis. She doesn't consider that because she's got her own things she's thinking about. She's got a set of things going on in her mind about what she needs to do for the kids, who's got a class project, who's got clothes that need to be mended and washed and taken care of, and whose room needs to have something sprayed in it for carpet stains. She's got all those little details on her mind, and you don't know anything about that. You have no idea what it takes to be a woman in a household and manage. You don't have a clue. The things you think of and the things she thinks of are very different. They're very far apart. But more importantly, it's because she loves you and she cares about you and she still likes you. She doesn't ask you for everything she wants because you do work and you do take care of the family and you are a great man. So that's how that's worked and managed. But at the end of every day, She goes to bed thinking about how she had the day she had, how she loves the person that she did those things for, and how she'll wake up tomorrow and do it all over again. It's not to slight you. It's not to be ugly to you that she doesn't sleep with you. It's just not on her mind. So you put it on her mind. You give her something to think about at 10, noon, 2, 4, 6, and 8 until she's in the mood, until she thinks about it, until it's her idea. You say something sweet, and you say something kind, and you just send a thank you to her to say thank you for all that you do for us. The kids don't say thank you. You're not saying thank you. Nobody's saying thank you to her. She's exhausted emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Talk to her. Tell her what's on your mind. But more importantly than that, share with her what's on your heart. Tell her for no reason at all in the middle of the afternoon, baby, I love you so much. And I'm so glad you're in my life. You have no idea what that'll mean to her. When she steps out of the shower, be willing to put a lotion on her body. Be willing to brush her hair. Be willing to do some things that involve an intimate arrangement of touch. Put it on her mind. Remind her of your most fabulous vacation, your honeymoon, your something where your lovemaking was high, your energy was high, your intimacy was high. And we're not talking about intimacy sexy. We're talking about intimacy conversation, intimacy getting to know each other. I think you all have heard me use the phrase, treat her like the mistress. If she was your mistress, you'd make arrangements to be with her at a certain period of time for a certain period of time, and maybe the same time every week. And I don't advocate that, obviously. But I said treat her like one, not if you have one. Treat her like one. And that person gets that type of attention, this dedicated, committed attention to say, I am going to be committed to you and all that we are, including our bedroom. You compliment her in a fashion where she wants to give it to you. She wants to make love to you. She spends time trying to make sure she's ready when you get home. Buy her little knickknacks and cute little sexy things that say, you cute. I thought about you when I saw this. It's not into tricking her to having sex. It's not into making her think you don't want to and then go, ooh, surprise. It's not any of that. It's literally and legitimately wanting to have sex with her, loving her because of it, and meeting what her needs are as well. That's the whole point. So you got to get to that point. You got to get to that level where you say, you know what, I need you to do this. I need to be here for you. I need to do the following things for you so that you can know that I love you and I am consumed with caring about you. And that's where we are. That's where we are. So, we've got about 5 minutes left. Here are my closing thoughts about putting it on our mind. You got to compliment her. Remind her that she is your bride, that she is pretty, that she is articulate, that she is intelligent, and that you appreciate her for all that all she does. You got to remind her that you find her attractive and sexy. And that she makes you very happy. You got to become part of her thoughts. When you first started dating her, when you first got married to her, you told her all the time, You had so much time to talk to her. You made a way to meet with her after lunch. You made a way to meet with her for lunch. You made a way to, take care of the things she needed to take care of. You used to have her oil changed. Now she changes it herself. You got to make a way for her to be back at the number one spot after God. You've got to be consumed with who she is. You got to read the things she writes. You got to ask her about the things she's doing, so she will know that you are considerate and concerned about what she's got going on. It is always amazing to me when I hear a man say, my wife is cheating. And I ask, well, how do you know? And how do you think it happened? And it's devastating for a man because, of course, you all know that it's emotional. But you forget about the fact that you can have an affair with your own wife by being emotional to her, dealing with her emotions, her stuff, the things she wants to be bothered with. You could have that same affair with her by being very consumed with her. I have a friend of mine who's not married, and he has a girlfriend, and she has 2 or 3 kids, and they're grown, but he has 4 kids, and they're not grown. And I said, if you make her number one, all your other stuff will take care of itself. And he says, but my kids are not number one to her. I said, because she's not number one to you. Only when she is really number one to you will she make the things in your life a priority in hers. We always look at women and say, girl, you are so consumed with that man and you're all sucked up into his world, but that's what happens when we fully love you. Some of us recklessly abandon our own lives to give you what you need. So likewise, it should be something that should happen on the other side. You should be giving her what she needs, and then she can do everything in the world for you. Most of us are really the women, and we're going to do the things that are required to keep you happy. But most of you get complacent in that situation and don't do anything to keep us along with that scenario. Be committed. There's a quote I read recently, and it said, being involved and being committed is something like a breakfast of eggs and ham. The chicken was involved, but the pig was committed. And the difference in that statement is that to be involved with something, you can get in and out of it, or you can do it multiple times. You can be involved with somebody but not committed to them. See, the chicken can produce those eggs over and over again, and it can contribute eggs to several different breakfasts. But the pig can only do that ham one time. And once it's consumed, it's gone. You're going to need a new pig every time. So if you're committed to that relationship, then you'll go far, and it'll happen. So you put sex on her mind several times a day on a consistent basis. It'll start to happen for you. Thank you for joining us at Real Talk with Onedia Gage today. We appreciate your feedback. We love that you join us each and every week. I will resume our regular schedule on Monday at 3:30. Thanks so much. You have an outstanding weekend. Happy